Most creators think the fastest growing channels have better ideas. They don't. They have better judgment about which ideas to kill. That's the thing nobody says out loud. You spend 6 months watching someone's channel explode, and you're trying to reverse engineer their thumbnails, their hooks, their upload schedule. And meanwhile, the actual reason they're growing is something quieter. Something that happens before the camera turns on. Something most creators are genuinely terrible at, and don't know it, and won't know it until they've wasted about 2 years finding out the hard way. The skill is called editorial judgment, and it is the single biggest separator between channels that plateau and channels that compound. Let me show you what I mean. There's a creator, I'm not going to name them because they'd probably hate this example, who spent 14 months making videos about personal finance. Decent production, good information, correct advice. The kind of channel where you'd think, yeah, this should work. And it mostly didn't. Sitting at around 4,000 subscribers after a year and change, which, if you've been there, you know that specific number. That's the number that makes you question everything. Then they made one video about why they stopped using a budget, which is technically the opposite of what their channel was about. That video hit 400,000 views in 3 weeks. Now here's what most people take from that story. They think the lesson is, do the contrarian take, post the unexpected angle, zig when others zag. And sure, that's a piece of it, but that's not the insight. That's just the surface. The insight is that this creator knew, before they hit record, that the video had a different quality than their other work. They knew it landed differently when they described it out loud. They knew it was the kind of idea that makes a person stop scrolling, tilt their head slightly and go, wait, but you're the finance person. That knowing? That's editorial judgment. The ability to look at an idea before you've made it and accurately assess its potential. Not perfectly, not with certainty, but with a real and trainable signal that tells you whether an idea is genuinely interesting or just feels interesting to you at 10 p.m. when you're tired and trying to finish a content calendar. Here's where most people get this wrong. They treat ideation and execution as the same stage of work. They come up with an idea, immediately decide it's good, and start scripting. And the reason they do this isn't laziness. It's actually the opposite. It's enthusiasm, which is a trap, because enthusiasm distorts your ability to judge the idea clearly. You're not evaluating it anymore, you're defending it. The creators who grow fast have separated those two phases. They generate ideas in one headspace. They evaluate them in a completely different headspace. And that evaluation, brutal, clear, a little cold, is where the actual work happens. Think about it like a film editor, not the director, not the writer, the editor, the person in the room whose entire job is to make the thing better by deciding what doesn't belong. Great editors are not sentimental. They will cut the scene you loved making. They will cut the moment you thought was clever. They will cut the thing you worked on for 3 days because it slows the momentum by 11 seconds, and 11 seconds is enough. The fastest growing creators are their own best editors. Before post-production, before filming, at the idea level, they're cutting bad concepts before they ever become bad videos. And this is not a small thing. This is maybe the thing, because here's the math that nobody wants to hear. 1 great video a month outperforms 4 mediocre videos a week over any meaningful time horizon on YouTube. Not because of the algorithm. I mean, yes, because of the algorithm, but more fundamentally because of trust. A viewer who watches one of your videos and thinks, that was really good, will come back. A viewer who watches one of your videos and thinks, that was fine, will not. And if you're cranking out volume at the expense of quality judgment, you're basically doing customer acquisition with a leaky bucket. You're pouring people in the top and losing them out the bottom and wondering why you're not growing. So how do you actually develop this skill? Because I know someone watching this right now is thinking, yeah, that's great, but editorial judgment sounds like something you either have or you don't. It sounds like taste, and taste sounds like something you're born with. You are not born with taste. That's a myth that confident people use to describe a skill they built without realizing they were building it. Taste is calibrated. Taste is the result of consuming a lot, making a lot, being wrong a lot, and paying attention to the pattern of your own wrongness over time. Here's a concrete way to start building it. Every idea you have for a video, before you commit to it, describe it to someone in 1 sentence. Not a paragraph, not an explanation, 1 sentence. The kind of sentence that would live in a text message, and watch their face. Not for approval. Stop wanting approval. It's making you worse at this. But for a specific reaction. The reaction you're looking for is the slight lean forward. The involuntary question. If they need you to explain why it's interesting, it's probably not interesting yet. If they immediately say, wait, really? You have something. This is not a foolproof method. It's a signal check. It's you training your own internal instrument by running it against external reality over and over until the needle becomes accurate. The second thing, keep a kill file. Not a list of your good ideas. Everyone has those. A document where you put the ideas you were excited about and then chose not to make. And every 3 months, look back at that list and ask, was I right to kill those? Some of them you'll look back and think, yeah, I was excited about that, but it really would have been a weak video. Those are the wins. Your judgment was correct. The fact that it felt painful to kill them doesn't make it wrong. Some of them you'll look back at and think, actually, that one might have worked. And that's fine too. That's information. That's you recalibrating. The goal is not to never make a mistake. The goal is to be right more often than you're wrong at the only moment that's cheap to be wrong, before you've spent 30 hours on something. Here's a thing that almost nobody talks about when it comes to fast-growing channels. The speed isn't coming from posting more. It's coming from posting less bad stuff, which means it's actually a subtraction game, not an addition game. You grow faster by removing the mediocre videos from your pipeline before they exist. You grow faster by protecting your average. You grow faster by being slightly ruthless about the ideas that are good enough but not great, because good enough is the enemy of the kind of video that someone sends to a friend. And sent videos are still the most powerful distribution mechanism on the platform, not a recommendation, not an algorithmic push on the browse feed. Someone with a pulse who saw your video and thought of a specific other person and opened a conversation and pasted a link. That is an endorsement. That is earned. And it only happens when you made something genuinely worth sharing, which is a higher bar than most creators are actually clearing. Let me give you the contrast, because this is where it gets clear. 2 creators, similar niches, starting around the same time. Creator A uploads twice a week because that's what the growth advice says. They have a backlog of about 40 ideas. They're working through the list. They're consistent. They're not lazy. They're doing everything right in terms of effort. A year in, they're at 18,000 subscribers, which is not nothing, but it's not growing fast either. Creator B uploads once a week, sometimes once every 10 days. They have the same backlog of 40 ideas, but before they make anything, they force every idea through a specific question. Would I watch this? Not as the creator, as someone who doesn't know me, as someone scrolling at 11 p.m. who has no particular loyalty to this channel and 100 other options. Would this stop them? And if the answer isn't clearly yes, they don't make it. They go back to the list. Creator B, same niche, same starting point, same year, 112,000 subscribers. The difference is not talent. The difference is not luck, though luck exists, and anyone who tells you it doesn't is selling something. The difference is that Creator B is making a different decision upstream. They're applying more judgment earlier. They're treating every video as a thing that either earns the viewer's time or wastes it, and they've decided that wasting it is a reputational cost they can't afford. That's what editorial judgment looks like in practice. It's not precious. It's not artsy. It's a discipline. Now, I want to complicate this slightly, because I think there's a version of this advice that curdles into paralysis, and I don't want to be responsible for you not posting anything for 6 months because you're waiting for the perfect idea. The calibration matters. The judgment is supposed to make you faster, not slower. It's not about endlessly evaluating. It's about developing the ability to evaluate quickly, accurately, and then move. The point is not to be more hesitant. The point is to be more precise. There's a real difference. Hesitation is fear dressed up as standards. Precision is standards that work fast enough to be useful. The way you know you're in precision territory versus hesitation territory, if you've been sitting with an idea for more than 2 days and still can't decide, that's not judgment working. That's anxiety. Make a call. Make the video or don't. Perfect judgment over nothing is still nothing. Here's the last piece of this, and it's the one that ties everything together. Editorial judgment isn't just about individual videos. It's about the shape of your channel over time. Every video you make is a statement about what your channel is, what it values, what it's for, and viewers are tracking that shape even when they can't articulate it. You know this because you do it yourself. You subscribe to channels because there's a consistency to what they make, a clarity about why they exist, a sense that the person behind the camera knows exactly what they're doing and why. That consistency is not an accident. It's not just vibes. It's the product of a creator who has exercised editorial judgment across dozens of decisions over months and years, who has cut the things that didn't belong, who has said no to videos that would have been fine because fine dilutes the average, and the average is what the viewer is unconsciously calculating every time they decide whether to stay subscribed. The fastest growing channels are not faster because they found a hack. They're faster because they've built a clear identity through subtraction, and identity is what loyalty runs on. You want the growth. You want the numbers. Fine, that's fine. But the path there is not more content. It's better decisions about which content gets to exist. That's it. That's the skill. Not the secret. The skill. You can learn it. You can build it. You can sit down tomorrow and start running your ideas through a colder, clearer filter. And over time, that filter gets better, and your output gets sharper, and your viewers feel the difference even when they can't name it. They just know there's a channel they always seem to finish, and they can't quite remember deciding to subscribe.